Hello, everyone. So glad that many of you are on here and yeah, very excited. Hi. So guys, look, this class is nothing complicated or, nothing to bring stress, involved. So it's just something to wake us up. And basically we come together, we talk about what we learned this week, which is basically about the lecture, about the exercise lab, and mainly helps you to know what to focus on for the quiz that's ahead of you, and you have deadline until next Monday. So I have muted you all because of what happened in the previous session. So you're all mute, but I will let you unmute yourself whenever, like I, for instance, talk about something, and then I let you unmute yourself and ask your questions, but you always are welcome to text, like here as a chat, text your question. But if some of you are on YouTube, but not on Zoom, they're the same thing. So as you know, we have only 500 capacity in Zoom, so which should be enough, I guess. But if it's not enough, then the rest can watch on YouTube and post their questions on it. If you're on Zoom, you listen here, you post your questions here. If you're on YouTube, you listen on YouTube, you post your questions on it. But in any case, we're gonna answer your questions. We are here for you. So, and again, this session is just that to bring us together, to highlight a few points. And sometimes I highlight a few things that I missed to cover during the lab or lecture, and then I realize, oh, actually that was important. Then I bring it in this class. Like I have two things, for instance, today about R that I want to highlight, as well as I want to tell you what to focus on for your quiz this week. So this is the main purpose of this class. Nothing complicated, nothing stressful. Never be stressed, always be relaxed. We are here, just ask your questions, okay? So let me see what we have. If anything, just text. You're always open to text. At this minute, again, you're mute, but I will unmute you at some point and I will let you speak if you like to say anything, all right? So, and this session is recording, as you realize, and you will access the video, if anything, important that you missed to capture, then you will access the video. All right, so what I have for you today, let me share my screen with you. So I'm sharing my screen with you. And so again, I'm gonna go through a few things that I want to highlight in this session, and then I'll unmute you. But you're free, you feel free to basically text if you like, okay? I'm trying to basically get my chat box visible for me so that I can see. Sometimes this chat basically goes down all on other files that I have somehow. I just get that set up here. So yeah, somehow it just hides sometimes. Okay, but yeah, just be with me. Let me start and then I will unmute you. We will basically speak about anything you like. So again, what we learned in the lecture today, let me actually just start from the basically what we want to talk about in this class. So as you know, we have lecture and exercise lab for week 2. We covered them all and you have the videos available. There are some R programming, R codes, R markdown files available on Canvas. So they're related to the lecture slides and also they're related to the exercise lab. So you have to go through them. You have to make sure you understand them. And you have to be familiar with how a correct R command looks like. So we don't want you remember everything. And so like to be able to write down as soon as we say, can you, for instance, get an histogram for this data, you'll be able to quickly write down the command, but we want you to know how correct commands look like. So I want you to go through those R Markdown files and learn them and make sure you understand what's the correct command look like. So if it's a multiple choice question, you can tick the correct basically command and you can recognize the wrong ones. All right, so I'll tell you some examples. Okay, so lecture and exercise lab week 2. The highlights, I'll tell you in the next slide, the highlights of the lecture and the highlights of the exercise lab we did. So you have videos as well. I also explained some important things that I feel I missed to really explain in details. So I will show you, I'll open my R Studio soon and I will explain a few things. I feel like it's very important that everyone knows because I received some emails as well. So if I receive some emails about one question, like repetitive questions, then I'll definitely highlight it in this video. So what to focus on for quiz 2? This is what you might be interested in that helps you, for instance, to practice better and get a better score, obviously. So I continue. Let me actually, maybe I just quickly see if I can, when I share my screen, the basically Zoom setting works a little differently here. So I want to see in this situation, how can I basically, because now it looks different, where is that I could unmute when I want to unmute, or maybe I just can stop sharing my screen and then I would basically manage to get that working. Well, I'm not gonna unmute you now. I was just wondering, where is the setting? So yeah, I'm gonna probably just stop sharing and then I will unmute you when we are getting our first quiz marks. It's gonna be after the deadline. So after the deadline, I'll check today. Good question. Okay, I'll check today to see. You must have received it. Like today's, yes, or after the deadline is. I have to check. Okay, so after each deadline, you will get the outcome. So let me continue this, and I will unmute you at a certain time. Okay, so. Lecture and exercise. So what we highlighted this week was about qualitative variables and quantitative variables, right? So we practiced something very simple. So for qualitative and quantitative variables, we discussed how to visualize them, which is part of initial data analysis. This is very important. So if I say, what do I mean by initial data analysis? I don't really mean like you have to model anything, you have to estimate anything, simulate, interpret, or even I don't mean like statistical analysis yet. So initial data analysis is just that you analyze your data, you look at your data, you get some numerical statistics, like descriptive statistics, and you get some figures. So you have to present how your data looks like, what's the number of observations, etc. Very simple, basic information about your data. So I will tell you exactly what initial data analysis is when I'm highlighting what you have to focus on for your quiz 2. So this is just a very general talk I just said. So this is what we learned, and we have our markdown files related to the lecture. You'll go through. So there is nothing major I wanted to discuss about what we learned in the lecture. But about exercise lab for week 2. So again, it was the same topic, obviously. The exercise lab week 2 is going to be covering what we discussed in the lecture 2, right? So it was also about initial data analysis. So visualizations and descriptive statistics we practiced. So, okay. 2 points I want to highlight about using R Studio. I'm just gonna minimize that and just make sure everyone is okay. So about R Studio. So guys, if you want to practice something with me or you just want to watch. So for instance, for lab 2, this is the lab 2 I shared with you. This is the R Markdown file on Canvas. Is for lab 2. So if I just open it, I just want to explain 2 things that maybe I didn't highlight in details. I didn't highlight in details in the videos this week. So first thing is, like, if you don't know something, R is very user-friendly. So you can just put a question mark, like you can come to the console. If you see, this is my console window, right? So first of all, like for instance, these are the codes we practiced anyways. So I put a question mark. For instance, I don't know what is hist. Like hist is a function we practiced to get histogram this week. So if I don't know what is hist, I just put a question mark first, and then I put that certain word or function, I'm wondering what that is, and I just hit enter. And then on this window, under help, you're gonna get information about what histogram is, how the function looks like. For instance, what are the elements in the bracket? If you scroll down, it gets even more detailed. And it talks about all you need to know: frequency, probability, anything that you need to know about histogram. You can learn the whole lesson about histogram in R. So this is just a lecture by itself, like titled histogram. You can learn anything you want in R. So it's just a massive library, and it takes years if you want to learn everything and you want to read everything in R. So it's a lot of work there. You can just do it on your end and just, become stronger and more knowledgeable, and, learn things in deeper level. So this is what I wanted to highlight, that you always can ask your questions there. And also you obviously can always Google. So if you have a problem, you can just exactly Google your question. There are many other people have the same question, and they have already answered the same question on websites everywhere. I don't have any specific website. I just Google it and I just get an answer wherever it's answered. So one more thing, I just again check the messages. So how are you doing? Okay, let me continue one more thing and then I will unmute you. So one more thing I wanted to highlight about R Studio. So again, feel free to text at this minute that you're muted. Sorry about that, you're muted, because it gets very busy, as you understand, right? So I will unmute you soon. But feel free to text me if anything. If anything, just text me. I'll see your text, but then I'll unmute you soon. I'll explain one more thing. It's about, so I explained asking your questions. It's about reading the data file. So I have seen some students, they do all the right things. They save the R Markdown and data file in the same folder, for instance, on their desktop. Perfect. They read the data using the code we practiced. So for instance, we have been saying read.csv, and then in the bracket, quotation mark, and then I said copy paste name of the CSV file, the data file you have in an Excel file. So just, and this is fine. So they do that as well. So everything looks perfect, but actually R does make mistakes sometimes. You have to double check with it, because this data might be saved in your download, might be saved in on your desktop, might be saved in multiple addresses on your personal computer. So, and you may make changes, for instance, somewhere, but then you don't make changes other places. That's one problem. And also at some point you may get errors and you don't know why you're getting errors, because simply R is reading your data file from somewhere else, not in the folder that you have your R Markdown saved. So what do I mean by that? So how to check that? Again, in this console window, this console window is very useful. So we do a lot of things with it, and you're gonna become familiar with it very soon. So in this console window, just type get working directory and then brackets. You see that? Get WD, which means get working directory, and 2 brackets and heat inter. So this tells you the exact address that actually are at the moment. It's reading my data from my desktop from MATH1005. I'm happy with that because this is the correct address, but you may actually find out this, what I've highlighted here, instead it's saying download or any other addresses, that it's not the folder you think basically you want R to read your data from. So if, for instance, this is something that I don't know and I don't want, and I want to correct the address, so you have to get R. I'm going to make sure no one is, so let me see, hang on. The right side looks the same, but the left side has like one screen with 3 tabs that are, there's only a revision lecture scheduled. The rest we have to do in our own time. I'm sorry if I sound confused. I switched classes and joined this class yesterday, so I'm a bit behind. Oh, well, don't worry. I'll explain at the very end again what I said at the beginning if you came late. Current IT, need to open the script. Okay, guys, let me continue. It sounds okay. Like, just follow this. You get a video. You get a video of this if you're behind now. So don't stress again. Don't stress. You get a video. Just be there. Listen, whatever it is now. Follow up. Like, continue. Let's carry on. And then you'll get a video. But let me finish this and then I will unmute you. So I was telling you, if this address is wrong, what to do. So if the address is wrong, I want you to come here and so for instance, in this under files, so click files on the window to the right hand side. This is where basically we can correct the working directory. We can set it up. So then you see, like, this is the address of the working directory for me. For you, it's gonna be different. So wherever your data R is reading your data from, it's going to be here. So for instance, if this was wrong, this is correct for me now. If this was wrong, I would go, okay, I want to go to desktop. I would click on desktop and I would find my MATH1005. So I'm just looking for my file on my computer. You should do the same. So I'm looking on my computer. I clicked on file and I use these links here. So this is the address, right? So I'm looking, I clicked on desktop and now I'm looking. So this is my MATH1005 file. This is where I have our markdown and data file saved. This is where I want it to be my working directory. I click on it and then I'm happy with this. So this is the folder that I want it to be my working directory. So I stop there, I click on more and then I set it as working directory. Set, done. So again, I come to the console, I type get working directory, get WD and brackets, hit enter. So yeah, well, I was right before anyways, but you can double check to make sure, oh, actually you set your working directory now to this address. So you want to know that 100% R is reading it from the correct folder. So this is a very important step. You always check where R is reading your data from. It solves many errors on the way. And yeah, the previous note I said, you always ask a question in console and read about it if you don't know it or if you want to know more about it. Okay, so these 2 things I wanted to highlight. And next things, I want to highlight what to focus on for quiz 2. Before I highlight that, I just stop here and I try to unmute you guys to see if you like to say anything. Let me just have to figure this out. Be patient here, be patient. And I see it looks slightly different with when I'm not sharing my screen, if it makes sense. So if I don't see that how you unmute yourself, I just stop sharing my screen for a minute. So Okay, so I stopped sharing my screen for a minute and now I'm trying to give you right to speak. Wait, allow participant to unmute themselves. Okay, guys, you can unmute yourself now if you like to say something, guys. Feel free.
Hello.
Hello.
So two things. First of all, with the get working directory, is that necessarily the same as the thing that at the top of the console window on your screen, right after the word console, it says a directory name? Is that always the same as the working directory?
Correct. Good question. So let me check. So when I click on file, you mean, right?
No, in the console window, at the top bar of the window.
Correct. Yes, yes, that is the working directory. That's good point.
Okay.
Good point. Yes.
And second question, when you set something as your working directory, I assume that only applies on your own device. How do you guarantee that references to files work on someone else's device if you give them your folder containing your R Markdown file and also any like CSV files, for example?
Yes, sir, it's just that they're gonna save it somewhere in their computer. And then, yeah, so they're gonna just do the same thing like we just did. For instance, they open the R Markdown file and they get working directory in the console and make sure where is the address of the data and if it's reading it from the same folder. So it's just that you have to save the folder somewhere in your computer, for instance, on your desktop, and it will work. Yeah.
I see. So they'll have to, so the recipient will have to like check for themselves that they have the working directory set up correct.
Say it one more time.
So the person you're sending your file to will have to, your files to, will have to check for themselves, like ensure for themselves that their working directory is set up correct.
Yes, yes. And they have to save the folder nice and clean somewhere. Yeah.
I see. So there's not really a way to necessarily guarantee setup free portability.
I think, yeah, it would be easier that they get it, right? Because then they have different things. Like, for instance, if you noticed, for instance, on my computer, it's like I have a folder named Parinushka, and then, users, Parinushka, desktop. So it will look different. You can't really tell them, like, where is the working directory anyways. They have to get it on their personal computer. Yes.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah, guys, anyone else you want to unmute yourself and say something? I'm just quickly also having a look at your messages. Yep. Go ahead.
So where is the our study, and is that really important for our? How is it important for our class?
R studio, like R
Yes.
and R. Yes, sir. For the course, you mean? For the whole course?
Yes.
Yes, sir. We do practice R and R studio. We do work with R studio to read some basic statistics to further a little more complicated statistic analysis. So we'll be programming with R. So basically this course use a software named R Studio. So we need it for the whole course. And so all the R Markdown files on Canvas, that shows that that's part of our course. So you can study that. You can always make an appointment, go meet our statistics educator on campus or on Zoom, or email us or post on it. There are many different avenues for you to ask your questions. So we're more than happy to help you to learn our studio and just, catch up with the materials of this course. Yeah. So you have to basically learn that as much as we need it. And we are teaching you step by step. So we are hoping you're learning. And again, if you have questions, please reach out. Guys, anyone else you want to unmute yourself?
Yeah, I have a question.
Yes.
Yeah, so in I believe it's called exercise lab 1 in the lecture slides. You in there it said something, there's something under pages, and under module 1 exploring data, you go to something called welcome R, and that gets you to basically this whole introduction to R and all these commands. But I don't really seem to see that option on Canvas.
So are you talking about lab 2 or?
No, the lab 1.
Oh, lab 1. Okay. So I've got to check that out. So good point. Do you wanna, if it's not too much trouble, do you wanna shoot me an email? And
Yeah,
so
sure.
after this class, I will check that. If it's not available, I will make it available.
Yeah, sure. Okay.
Okay, awesome. Thanks for that. Thanks. Any other things, guys, you want to mention?
Yeah, I got a question.
Yes.
How am I able to open those exercise lab.rmd files? Every time I try, it says that I have no application to run them.
Okay, so maybe I talk to you on email, but if not, this is like I suggest you either go make an appointment to go to one of these face-to-face meetings. So our statistics educators are really good in these technical issues, or just make a Zoom meeting. So we basically be online with you and we meet with you and we actually exactly see what's going on in your computer. Sounds like a technical error that we have to really see, or if someone has experienced the same error already, they're going to answer on it. So share this question on it. And if they don't know the answer, we're going to meet with you either on Zoom or on campus. But do that as soon as possible. So we're going to solve this problem so you can move on, right? I don't know the answer right now to that technical question, right?
Yeah. Okay. Cheers.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks for sharing that. Okay. So guys, anyone else want to speak?
Hi, Professor.
Hello.
Hi. So when I'm looking for the additional video resources, out of four videos, there is only one video that can be loaded, and the other three can't be loaded. Would you mind to look into that problem for me, please?
Okay. Let me note that.
Yeah, I will post that question on ED. And then yeah.
So you mean anyone else has this problem? Like downloading? You mean you can't download the videos? Is that what you mean? You cannot save it on your computer. Is that right?
Yeah. In the modules, there is like a section of additional video resources that help me to learn our video series.
Okay, I'll check that. I'll
Yeah.
check that. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. There was another question I said, email me about the, you said part of the video. Do you want to speak again and I write that down as well? You said part of the video.
Yes. So in the additional video resources in modules, it say the help me learn our video series. Out of 4 videos, there is 3 videos that can't be loaded.
Okay.
That can be shown. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I also have the same issue with them.
Oh, right. So probably they were like old materials that after we transferred to the new page, something, didn't work with them. So I'll check that out. Okay, it's under module under
additional video resources.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, anything else, guys?
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hello, Professor.
Hello.
I mean, what do we need to do with the exercise lab? As I can see, when I open it in our studio, it shows like x+1 or 1+1, like this. And shall we use our studio as a calculator to calculate them?
Yeah, well, that was like, I think you're referring to those websites that you can just type in those windows that are active. They're like RStudio. You can just type in them and hit enter and or run button. It's gonna run it for you. Yeah, like that works like a calculator sometimes. You can basically use that, right? So those were just some little examples, just warming you up and making sure like you understand so what R is, and when you have the RStudio on your computer, then you just use your own RStudio on your computer and learn the commands there. That was just a practice stuff to begin with. Anything else, guys?
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Oh, sorry. Do you mind putting in the chat your university email?
No problem. Good question. Look, I'll show you very soon after I share my screen in a few minutes. So all our details are listed. So you have to check it. On it, my first post about like the whole structure of the course and how everything looks like and everything. Like the first post on it was from me. And then at the end, it was like a PDF file that was all staff details, their email addresses, their name and everything was listed. So, but at this minute, let me share my email just because you asked. Everything is in lowercase. So this is me at this, okay, but then you check it, everyone's email addresses and everything is available under my first post. Anything else, guys? Anyone want to speak anything? Okay, so other than that, then let me start talking about the quiz 2 and then I will unmute you again. How about that? Okay. All right, some students are talking with themselves, it's fine, but then you make sure you also follow what's happening here. Okay, so I'm gonna share my screen. So about quiz 2, about quiz 2. So we have these basically notes that I want you pay attention to. So guys, the first thing is very basic. So initial data analysis, you should know that includes simple data screening, visualization, like we discussed about quantitative variables and qualitative variables, descriptive statistics, which is numerical statistics like mean, standard deviation, variance, all the information and numerical statistics you can give for a sample data, certain variable. So, and data cleaning. So like we practiced like getting rid of some missing data, some unspecified data, go have a look again. In the exercise lab videos and lecture videos, we did a little bit of data cleaning. So like getting rid of outliers, getting rid of missing values, getting rid of unspecified values. These are all part of data cleaning and they're part of initial data analysis. This is important to know. But the rest are coming in the future and they're not part of initial data analysis. So something like modeling, estimation, simulation, statistics or statistical analysis, they're all more complicated and they are not part of initial data analysis. So when we say initial, it's like the beginning, the data screening part. Then when we start modeling and estimation and simulation and all the complicated parts, then that's something more complicated and it's just not part of initial data analysis. So I just wanted to clarify that can be a question. So I want to be clear about that. And oops. So for instance, in visualization methods, I'm just listing what were highlighted in our materials. So for qualitative data, there are two very common ways to plot your qualitative data. So it's either a bar chart or a pie chart. I told you pie chart, there are many, it's very controversial. There are many notes and videos available that they say pie chart is not as useful. And so people don't really use pie chart anymore. But I want you to read about it yourself. So there are some links and news I provided in our materials. You can read about it yourself, but you have to know that is one way to basically visualize qualitative data. But bar chart is the most common. Quantitative data. So quantitative data is more interesting because you have data values in hand and it's more ways to visualize it. And it looks usually more interesting than qualitative data. So histogram, because it has more details. So histogram, box plot, scatter plot. The scatter plot becomes very useful when we start modeling, because a scatter plot is when we are really we are working on effects of one variable on another. That's where scatter plot becomes very important, and that's when we start modeling. So usually a horizontal axis, well, if you have like a scatter plot, you have one horizontal axis, one vertical axis. So horizontal axis is the variable we're interested on its effects on the vertical axis variable. So this is y, this is x. I want to know what are the effects of x on y. That's always the case. So, and that's where you see the scatter plots, you see the dots. I showed you in our materials, and it can talk about correlation between two variables. For instance, if the scatter plot looks like dot points are going up, for instance, you can conclude that correlation between x and y is going up and is positive. If, for instance, it's going down, then you can say connection or correlation between x and y is negative, and things like that. So it becomes very useful when we are modeling. But anyways, this is just a list of some visualization methods that we discussed for qualitative and quantitative. You have to know them. So this is to be highlighted. You have to know them for your quiz. As simple as it sounds like, yeah, you have to know them, and that might be a question. So where did I go? The last bit is some simple R commands. So some simple R commands, well, we used a lot of R commands in our lecture and our exercise lab videos and materials. You have R markdown files, please practice them. So again, you don't have to learn them all, like to write them down, you know, without looking at the codes and things like that. But you have to know how correct commands look like if, for instance, you have a multiple choice question, 3 of them are wrong, 1 is right, you have to pick the right one. You have to be able to recognize the signs, the symbols, how it's written, the notation. You have to know how it looks like, and you have to be able to pick the correct command out of all other wrong commands. This is one question. Like for your quiz, for instance, you get like a list of different commands, and we want you to recognize which is the correct one. Okay. Do we have to do the lab before the quiz? So look, guys, for quiz, you have time until next Monday. So it makes sense. And your quiz is based off the lecture and exercise labs and basically all the materials shared with you for this week. So obviously, I want you to learn everything that we have provided for this week. Review all the materials, watch all the videos, including this video if you're missing it or you have partially missed it, and then do your quiz. So the quiz is the last thing you will do for a week. That's when you know everything and you have practiced everything. You just want to do the quiz and so get a good mark. Okay, and then again, you have 2 attempts. And yeah, you have a lot of basically loads of time to figure questions out. They are not that complicated. They're just to wake you up, make you read the materials for a week. So just keep you on track. Don't stress too much about these quizzes. And again, we have been saying, if you do really well in final exam, we do ignore all your quizzes. So these quizzes are for you to stay on the right track on weekly basis, to read the materials as we go. Okay, so for instance, I'm saying you have to be familiar with the command like this: read.csv, and then name of the data file in quotation marks. All these notations are important. So you have to know how the correct way of, for instance, reading a data file looks like. Or a command like this: if you want to call out, for instance, your variable height is in your data file. Your data file is named data, for instance. So data, $, you isolate this variable, and that's basically, this is the command. You can call height out of your data file. So you have to know if, for instance, there are double $sign here or any other signs, that's not correct. So you have to know what's the correct command looks like. Okay. So you need to be familiar how a correct command looks like. To recognize it and choose it among some wrong commands in a multiple choice question, for instance. This is a hint for your quiz, for example. So these were all the points I wanted to highlight. They are simple, but you have to read, you have to basically keep yourself on track, and you don't have to just let the materials pile up. That's the dangerous scenario. So just read them on weekly basis, and these quizzes, I'm sure, will help many of you to keep yourself on track, read the materials on weekly basis, come out, ask your questions. We have all these the statistics educators, myself, Monir, we're all out here to help you if you have any questions. So again, just relax, read the materials, come ask if you have a question. I'm gonna unmute you. Well, you can actually unmute yourself now. You're unmuted already. So ask if you have any questions. And even after this class, you can just post your questions on it. You can email me. Again, you can go to see someone on campus, make a Zoom meeting private for yourself. Many avenues for you to ask your questions. So never stress, never worried about anything. All right, we're all, as they say, we're all in this together. And this revision class is just to get you out of your room. Like even myself, like this is nice to come out to talk to you live. Why not? So we could do it. We do it. If you like, you can attend. If you don't like, just watch the recorded videos. This is totally optional, no pressure. Okay. So if you like, you can give videos as well. I would love to see your faces, or just ask if you have any questions. When quiz will be graded. So yeah, so look, they will be graded automatically. So as soon as you do the quiz, you are graded already, but then you see the score and correct answers, etc. at the end, after the deadline. But I'm gonna check this and I'm gonna post, because I got several questions. So when to see the marks and where to see the marks. When to see the marks. I'm gonna check it. Marks for quiz. So feel free to unmute yourself, guys, if you're allowed. Let me check. So I'm gonna stop sharing my screen. So I'm gonna see, yes, are you able to unmute yourself? Can you try?
Yep.
Yep.
Good. So any question? Do you want to speak? You want to say anything, guys? That was it. That was what we wanted to talk about. Just sorry to wake you up early in the morning. So yeah, any questions?
Yeah, I just have one question.
Yes.
So in the histogram coding, what does the breaks do?
So the breaks are the bins. Like sometimes if you have like some basic statistics knowledge, so we used to call them like bins. So you basically break down your observations. It's like you're grouping you're clarifying your blocks, the bars you see in histogram, right?
Yep.
So sometimes we can set a starting number and ending number and just say what is the length of each interval.
Okay.
Yeah. Sometimes we can say, how many are they? You can just say 5, like how many blocks you want. So different ways to say it. Or yeah, sometimes you can just give numbers. This, like as a vector. You can use C, like combine function. So we have all these alternative ways actually in the materials. So sometimes we have used this, we have used that. So you can just gather them all for yourself, like summarize different ways to clarify breaks in histogram. But if you have any questions further, post on it. I will summarize it for you. I will answer your question in detail.
Yeah. So, cause it's just weird, cause I've been running the summary code, and it says here breaks 5, but then I'm getting 6 bars. So
yeah, that's fine, because then
okay.
there was a few observations left. So you were not
Okay.
aware. Yeah, so it just creates another one. It's like, yeah, so that's
Okay, so it's just automatic.
Yes.
All right, okay. Okay,
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Cool. Welcome. Yeah. Guys, anyone else, feel free to unmute yourself.
Yeah.
Yep.
Could you just please show how to download a CVS file? Because I've been trying to do that, but it
On Canvas, from Canvas.
yeah.
Okay, let me share my screen again. So Okay. So I go to have many files open. So let me go to the right one. Okay. So on Canvas, I go on a different path. Don't worry about that. Wait, I'm just trying to go to your weekly tasks. So if I go to weekly tasks, so for instance, for week 2, so did you say the CSV files, like this one?
Yeah.
Yes. So this is, for instance, I just click on it. I don't know how it works on your end. Mine is Windows. It just goes down to my downloads or just right here. And then I just open it. And then, because I have eView software now, it's complicated. Okay, so then I go to download. And this is the file. I just copy it, for instance. I just copy it, and then I go paste it on in my folder, whatever it is. Like my folder, for instance, is this one. I just paste it here. So this is gonna be and then I can open it with like Excel, which gives me the CSV file. So this is gonna be my data file. Again, these negative 9s are funny, but they're like, this is indicating that we have missing data. That's what we clean the data, etc. So did you follow? Did that answer your question?
Yeah, so I was doing something wrong. Thank you.
Awesome, thank you. Anything else, guys?
Yeah, I just have 2 quick questions. So first,
Sure.
for the when you were talking about quiz 2, like what we have to revise, you said that for initial data analysis, we'll like also be tested on descriptive statistics, but like what exactly? Because I watched the lecture videos and we didn't really learn like how to find the
Good question. So look, I didn't mean like anything basically well, we did have like in lab exercise videos, we did have like mean, like median, standard deviation, variance, and these things. If I remember right, that is part of descriptive statistics. So descriptive statistics is getting an average of your sample, getting a standard deviation of your sample, things like that. So nothing complicated. And by putting that here, for instance, on this note, I don't mean anything complicated. I just mean that this is part of the initial data analysis. And again, this is nothing more than getting like some details of your data, which is as simple as getting an average, standard deviation, variance. Yeah. Did that answer?
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
And then my second question is on slide number 6.
For the lecture?
No, just like in your document that you've got open right now.
Okay, yes.
Yeah. You know how there's a space between the $ and height?
Yes. Yes, you're very observant. Yes, shouldn't be a space. That's great. Thanks for that. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks, guys. Yeah, thank you. Anything else? Yeah.
So these lecture slides, are they going to be the lecture slides themselves? Would they be on Canvas?
Everything. This one, you mean? This one?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. Yeah, if you like, I will make it available. It was not meant to be, but I just make it available on Canvas on the revision class. You see, like we have this basically here, exercise there. Yeah. So under the revision class, basically, it's just when I share my screen, everything looks very complicated on my end. So here, under revision class, so the video, as well as I'll add another section, the slides, if you like.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you. Anything else, guys? So we have like,
Sorry. Your CSV file for the fatalities one was a lot smaller than mine. Mine was 5.5 megabytes, and RStudio wouldn't let me open it. Do you know how I could save it in a smaller copy? I don't know why it saved like such a big file.
Interesting question. Okay, so you mean one more time? You said your data file. Which one actually?
I saved it from
This
this page there. Yeah, I just clicked on it and downloaded it, and it was a lot bigger than yours. And then RStudio wouldn't let me open it because it was too big.
Oh, that's interesting. I have no idea. So,
And I
for
don't
that
think anyone else has
question,
had that problem.
say it again.
I don't know if anyone else has that problem.
Oh,
I'd just like to clarify because I think I know what's going on here.
okay, yeah.
The CSV files shouldn't be opened in RStudio. You access the data with RStudio. So
Okay.
you're not supposed to open it with RStudio. You can look at the data through Excel.
Ah, okay. Is that what you meant? Did that answer your
Okay,
question?
yeah, that makes a lot more sense because I did like file open to get to it, and I was wondering why things were working weirdly. Okay, that makes a lot more sense. Thank you.
Good. Thanks. Thanks for getting the point. Thanks. Thanks, guys. That's helpful. You listen to each other. Any other questions? Anything else, guys? So we have like until 8:55, like 4 more minutes if you want to say anything. Other than that, then this will be recorded. Slides are going to be available and video is going to be available. And again, you always come out and ask your questions on it anyway.
Why the quiz grid is still muted for us today?
Say it again.
Why the quiz grid is still muted at for grid? When we click on the marks, we cannot see our grade for the quiz.
Okay. So that was also a question. I'm going to check that right after this meeting. So right after this meeting, quiz marks, I'm going to check right after this meeting. I'm going to post on it. Okay. To see what's going on. Okay. Thank you. Any other questions?
I guess I'll say just one more. Oh, my bad. You can go first.
I just had a quick question about the weekly quizzes. Are they always going to be multiple choice, or are we going to have to like do some R coding in like later weeks?
It will be multiple choice questions. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, welcome. Yeah.
And also, someone in the chat said, and I do agree, since we didn't really get to cover that question. You know how we have 2 attempts? If we don't get the mark from our first attempt, then why would we ever even risk taking another attempt? Like, shouldn't we get the mark from our first attempt so that we can deduce whether we want to do it again?
That's a good point. I think the goal there is, yeah. So because we, I think good question. So the point there is, you just have the second chance. For instance, if you are doing the first time and then you feel like, oh, actually you needed to check this certain question out, or you wish to look at this thing or whatever, you could do better if you do it for a second time. So it's just a second chance before actually the mark. Yeah, so I understand what you say, but this is just how it's set and how it's confirmed to be set. And that takes a lot of more settings or I don't know, changes if that wanted to be the case. But yeah, that's the case. You don't know the mark for the first attempt. It's just that you have a chance to go read about what you don't know and do it one more time. So it's just in your benefit still. But yeah, that's how it works. Sorry about that. Yeah, I think we can't really change that.
I think the quiz also takes the highest of all your attempts.
It does.
So
That's a
also
good.
another
Thanks for
reason.
sharing that. Yeah. So exactly. So you get.
And also, don't
considered
the
the highest
questions change every time you start the quiz again? Like, isn't it randomized? So
It
that
is
every time you
randomized.
press, yeah.
Yeah. So it's just a scrambled.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Anything else, guys?
Hey, sorry. So like if it's scrambled, your point of, just like going to go through it again to check on something that you had a doubt on, that doesn't make sense, right?
No. Questions are not going to change. It's not going to be in order just for that.
Oh, okay.
students
So
can't
just like
cheat.
the option.
Yeah, so
okay.
you
That's
cannot
all
be
you're
on the
gonna.
phone with your friend and cheat with them or things like that. So just to prevent, level of cheating, which
Oh,
is
okay.
fine. We're not worried about that because we want you to learn. That's the point. So yeah.
So the
don't worry
questions
about
don't
that.
change. It's the same questions. Is that
That's correct. Yes.
okay?
That's why second chance makes sense.
Okay,
Yeah.
fair enough.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you. All right, guys, 8:55. We made it. Okay, so I let this meeting to end here. If you don't have any more questions, anyone?
There's a question in the chat.
Oh, what is the location for face-to-face meeting? Oh, honey, you have to check the email. If you're seeing my screen, the ed, sorry. So you have to go on ed. Here you go. All the important notes are pinned on top here. Like one of them, it says ed monitoring and campus Zoom drop-in. It's made by Monair. You just click on it. Everything you need to know, all the links, all the people who are available, all the links to make an appointment. Did you follow? So go on ed monitoring and campus Zoom drop-in, book an appointment, okay? Anything else? It is, yes, or we are, I thought quiz marks are going to be available at the end of the deadline. I'm going to check that out today. I'm going to post on it. I'm going to tell you how it works when you get your marks. I needed to expand the pinned post. Okay, so just check this post and any questions, anything else? Okay, guys, so it was lovely talking to you, believe it or not. I really enjoyed it and hope you enjoyed it too. Hope it was useful. So we will, we are out here. Just text us on ed or make an appointment, ask your questions, okay? So I'm gonna stop this meeting. Thanks so much, Anna. So I will thank you guys. Thanks everyone. Thanks. You have an amazing day. If you're in Sydney, so it's early in the morning, anywhere else, just enjoy your time and learn and come out and ask your questions. And I really look forward to seeing you again and talking to you. Make an appointment. Just feel free to email, make an appointment on Zoom. I'm gonna stop this here. Thanks again, everyone. Thank you so much. Okay, I'm gonna end this here.